across the United States. And yeah, we're talking about temperatures in the hundreds, even here in North Carolina, I think starting tomorrow or something like that. But definitely it looks like there'll be temperatures around 101, 102, 103. Definitely some lovely weather if you're into heat and all in that space. Getting ready to bring some folks in to see what they've got on their mind. I see I've got Rick Rosner with me, and I've got some other people that'll be joining the conversation also. We'll see what they've got on their minds. I've got Sasha Starr, and I've also got with me Dr. Sharif, and I see that Nick's in the background, so maybe he'll be joining us as well. Hey, everybody, I saw something yesterday, and I didn't mention it in the news story, but apparently, President Trump is going to do something that we've not had before. I think he's doing it in Texas, if I remember correctly. But we're going to have a like one of those conventions, but it's going to be a midterm convention. So President Trump is saying he's going to be holding a midterm convention because I think he's concerned about the fate of his midterm electorate and everything like that. But he did announce that yesterday as I was stumbling across a news item that he said he's going to hold this midterm.
Yeah, it'll accomplish very little.
Yeah, I think he's going to lose. So it will
He's
kind of.
bad at. I mean, he's bad at the normal methods of politics.
Yeah. And apparently, there's other thing that's in the news, and maybe you got some thoughts around this, Sasha, since you are in Canada and everything like that. But the fate of the $2 trillion North American trade deal is in doubt as the July 1st deadline is passing. So, U.S., Canada, and Mexico face a deadline for a trade agreement. U.S. auto industry faces more uncertainty without the extension of the USMCA trade deal. So it looks like U.S., Mexico, and Canada may not be trying to come to terms with this deal, which has been in place for a number of years and everything like that. So, what's your thoughts around this notion of a trade deal between us and our allies, namely you there in Canada and our ally to the south of Mexico?
In the long run, Canada does not need auto industry. It can get plenty of very good and inexpensive cars from elsewhere, from China, from Europe, from just anywhere, whoever is producing cars. This problem with US produced cars or US brands is that Canada is buying about 2 million cars a year, American cars I'm talking
Mhm.
about. And Canada wants to have its share involvement in producing these cars because it buys 2 millions of those cars. Now, if US prevails and it says, no, no, you just keep buying cars, you are not going to have any input in producing cars, then Canada does not need this deal at all. Take it all over the excellent production facilities in Canada. They can be used to produce other cars. For example, Canada is very successful in producing Toyotas and Hondas. But in addition to that, they can use these facilities to produce many other cars, some European cars, whether it could be Volvo or Volkswagen, or maybe even French cars like Renault, Peugeot, and some others. It's very well trained workforce, excellent state of the art facilities. Trump doesn't want to use them. That's fine. Keep your cars and just eat it. Thank you.
Yeah, that makes sense. Hey, Sasha, just really quickly, because I had one. Well, I didn't have it. My parents had it. But you follow cars and you follow the market and everything like that. When I was a youngster, my parents drove a Fiat, but they also drove a Citroen. Are Citroens still out there? Because I know that they used to be popular even in TV shows and everything like that. But that was in the 60s and the 70s, and I don't even know if they're an active car brand these days. So are Citroens still out there, and are they still an active brand?
Yeah, yes, it is. It's a French brand. I think it's a premium brand compared to Renault and Peugeot. So Renault is either partially or completely owned by French government. So Renault is kind of number one. It's most affordable, and so on. Peugeot is a little bit upscale cars, and Citroen is probably top of the line cars, like Mercedes, for example, in the German cars, so on. So Citroen They have excellent reputation, but I think they don't produce as many cars as Peugeot.
They make a tiny SUV that you can buy for about $11,000, but not in America, only in Europe.
Well,
I used to drive Citroën once on vacation in Europe. I rented a Citroën minibus, and very reliable, good driving characteristics, no complaints whatsoever.
it makes sense. Get to some other news stories, but before I get to that, just really quickly, folks used to tease us, and of course this was the '60s and the '70s, because and you'll get a kick out of this, Rick. The Citroen used to have a very low base, so the wheel would actually, it almost looked like a turtle. So the wheel would actually rise when you got ready to take off and drive and everything like that. Because it was a very low base. The wheel was like underneath half of the car and everything. So it was
Well,
almost,
some other cars now have this technology, but 50, 60 years ago, it was great innovation, and
right.
nobody
So
had it.
they haven't sold Citroens in the U.S. since 1974 due to U.S. design regulations that outlawed core features of Citroen cars. So,
That makes sense.
but
And
yeah,
it was,
when I was a kid, we'd see them around, but not lately.
and that makes sense and everything like that. I want to get this, Dr. Sharif. Hey, there was a incident involving California, which you will get a kick out of, Rick, because you are a person that likes to hear about good stories and everything like that. But a woman survived a 1,500, and yes, I did say 1,500-foot fall while climbing the California volcano. So that took place earlier today as she fell down Mount Shasta. But apparently she fell 1,500 feet, which is a long way to fall. But a 31-year-old, so she's a young woman, so that might have been why she was able to survive, because she still got that benefit of youth. So she fell after a 1,400-foot fall on Avalanche Gulch Road earlier today and everything like that. So it actually looked like it took place yesterday, but they're still talking about it today and everything like that. But it does look like she survived that major fall.
So yeah, she survived with a fractured ankle and just banged up. So she must have bounced a lot, bounced and slid. It's not like she fell 1,500 feet through the air.
Yeah, I can't see that as well. We can already celebrate, and I talked about it before. And on the 3 days from now, it'll be the 4th of July. Usually on the 4th of July, I would be working the Eno Festival and all along those lines. But unfortunately, because of Chantel, which was a storm last year, it'll be held in September, and it'll be held at a inside venue versus an outside venue. Don't get me wrong, I'm not exactly crying about it not happening this year, because it's supposed to be 101, 102, and 103 degrees around the 4th of July. But it was a fun event, but Chantel postponed that event and made it happen later in the year and at another location. But a lot of people are thinking about this 250th celebration. Apparently, there's a great state fair that's going on, even though some people are upset about the way their states are represented. And some people are even having thoughts on journalism, fact checking, and the U.S. at 250 years old and everything like that. So, what is y'all's thoughts about the 250th year celebration? Are any of you, I know that you're in Canada, Sasha, but Rick, you're in there in California. You got any plans to do anything for the 4th of July to celebrate the 250th anniversary? That's all that Fox was.
Not a lot. We used to go to the fireworks every year at the Radford lot, which was in our neighborhood, we've got a movie TV production facility where they made Friends and Brooklyn 911 and a ton of Gilligan's Island, and they used to put out fireworks every year, but their insurance company said, you got to quit. You're creating a liability. So they shut down the 4th of July fair.
Well, we're still having ours, and it'll be outside, and they're asking people to be hydrated and stay warm and stay cool and everything.
So what we do is, we've got an attic, and we look out the window of the attic because Los Angeles isn't just one town. It's like 80 municipalities. And a lot of these municipalities put on their own fireworks shows. So if you have a view across the entire San Fernando Valley, you can see more than a dozen different fireworks shows going off at once, plus lunatics setting off their own fireworks. So on the 4th, starting at 9 p.m., just LA erupts in fireworks.
Yeah, we have the same here in North Carolina. There'll even be some people probably shooting fireworks in my parking lot because I know they've done that the last couple of years and everything like that. But people need to be cautious because
Yeah,
again,
well,
it's safety
a
hazard.
lot of fires. Fireworks have been outlawed in a lot of states and communities because this is a bad time of the year for forest fires.
Bad time of the year for fires. It can also injure people because people have been had their hands injured and in some cases even severely injured by messing with fireworks and not being trained to mess with fireworks and everything like that. The Great State American Fair is preparing for their July 4th crowd and their heat on the National Mall and everything like that. So it does look like people are going to be preparing to deal with the heat because it's very hot there and it's hot in other places as well. But Trump is going to honor a president he sees as a peer. And I don't see the comparison. Maybe y'all can help me, but apparently he thinks Theodore Roosevelt is his peer and everything like that. So Trump is to attend the opening of the Roosevelt Library amid overturning conservation efforts. And I always thought the
Yeah, so Teddy Roosevelt wrote 49 books.
right.
He was probably our smartest president and one of our toughest. He famously um, gave an hour long speech or 90-minute speech after an assassin shot him in the chest. So it was a long speech. The speech was folded up in his pocket. And so he was shot in the speech. It went into the speech. It was slowed down. So it did the bullet, pierced him, but it didn't kill him because it was slowed down by his speech. Then he went ahead and gave the speech even though he was shot in the chest. He was a
So
yeah,
this is trying to follow this history story and everything like that. So was he bleeding while doing the
yeah,
speech?
yeah, but he wasn't shooting blood. He was wearing a suit jacket, a vest, a shirt, so it probably soaked up a lot of the blood. But he said, "Let me give the speech, then I'll go get medical treatment."
Well, speaking of medical treatment and speaking of Trump, there is the control of the Senate is up for grabs according to Time Siena polls, and North Carolina, my state, is one of those that is up for grabs because Cooper, who is our former governor, is up against Watley, and right now that's 50 to 43% Cooper's away and everything like that. In Maine, Collins is favored, but oh no, I'm sorry, Plattner is favored at 49 to 47, and Collins is the Republican candidates, and all along those lines. In Texas, it's between Talaraco and Paxton. It looks like they're tied at 47% each and everything along those lines. And in Alaska, it looks like it's Sullivan against Peltola, and it looks like that's 47 to 45. And in Iowa, it's Henson against Turek, and that's 48 to 45. So
So
it looks like there are some tight battles, 5 Senate seats that they could flip in
well,
November.
the one that they're pretty much guaranteed to flip, or that has the strongest chance, is in your state, North Carolina, where the Dems are, according to the polls, up by 7.
Right.
The other 4 states that they could flip are either tied or the Republicans have CNN did a whole analysis of this, and it's going to all come down to turnout. And
Right.
Texas constantly disappoints liberals because even though there are more registered Democrats in Texas than Republicans, the Republicans turn out more strongly generally. Now, this time around, you got a huge dick running for the Republicans, Ken Paxton. This guy who took bribes as part of a scheme to cover up multiple affairs he was having. His wife is divorcing him. He's still married, but he took a trip where he was photographed with his mistress. This was just a couple days ago. Will Texans care about if you had to bet on it, you'd probably bet on this douchebag running against a seminary student, Talarico. So the Republicans have been calling him a pussy and trans and a fag. And even though he's got a beautiful girlfriend, they're trying to assassinate his character. Even though the Republicans have this complete, a guy who's anyway.
Yeah, speaking of folks assassinating character, and we've talked about on the show, I know that even one of our other founders, Kim Calhoun, has brought up the whole notion of Donald Trump and some of his sex escapades and sex abuse escapades, to be more specific and everything. But E. Jean Carroll early today has asked the judge to order Donald Trump to pay the $5 million that he owes her. So, what is our thoughts around that? Is she going to get the money from Trump, or is Trump going to find some way to evade this money and all of
Trump
her?
has a life. Trump and his family have spent their entire lives avoiding paying legitimate debt. They have walked out. They have stiffed people for at least $1.5 billion in loans, in payments for workers, for payments to contractors. You do work for Trump, and if you don't get paid up front, he will refuse to pay you. He'll say, "Take me to court." So then you get a lawyer, and he has, he's been involved in 5,000 lawsuits, and then his lawyers get together with your lawyer, and his lawyer says, "We'll pay you a third of what you want, what you are owed." And otherwise, you're just going to spend all your money. You're going to get nothing because you're going to spend it all on lawyers. And so then you agree to a third of what you were. And he's done this hundreds of times.
Yeah.
So
The problem with this behavior is because all this is well publicized, books, and all kind of material on that, is that Americans seems to be supporting that behavior either openly or not, but even by electing him, while knowing what a crook he is and what his outlaw is, they elected him, so they in a way endorse this type of behavior. And because he keeps lying all the way, because he doesn't know any other way, and his cabinet has to lie to support his policies and so on. So now it affects America on international scene. Nobody wants to touch Trump or talk to him or do anything with him. They all know that it's a fraud. Look at what Vance said yesterday, that all this memorandum of understanding with Iran. Do you think it's really the document? No, it's a decoy to get them involved and feel them out if they want to do this agreement or they don't. And we can always go back to the war with Iran and all the military actions and so on. So this is nothing. Treat it as nothing. It's a ploy in Trump's strategy to give people Iran off the balance and get other nations and countries off the balance. This type of a crook, a criminal-minded person you elected as a president. So therefore, United States are going down from economic point of view, from military point of view. It's lost its war in Iran, whether they want it or not. This is what's happening, and now we'll see on midterm election how all that will be dealt with.
Speaking of midterm elections and everything like that, one of the things that has been an issue has been how ICE has treated people. And apparently, ICE released a Texas nun who was intercepted walking to church dressed in her habit. So she was actually dressed in her habit when they arrested her. So they detained a Texas-based religious sister on her way to mass, but they released her several hours later. Now, this was a nun of ethnic origin, because as I'm looking at the picture, she looks like she might be either African American or of the African descent, but that does not excuse them for what they did. So even the Catholic Diocese of Brownsville released a statement saying that it was wildly disturbing because the woman was literally going to mass. So what is our thoughts around how ICE is handling?
ICE is being. You said this lady's a nun, but she's more than that. She's a nurse. She's a nun who's a nurse who got arrested, and they held her for quite a while, and ICE. If you look on Twitter every day, they have stories of ICE misbehaving. ICE, like taking the license plates off their cars, so when they do illegal shit, you can't, and they get caught on video, you can't identify them because their license plates have been removed. Yeah. Like there's video of like an ICE guy just driving by, like a person on the street who was maybe observing ICE, and no license plate, sticks his arm out of the car, tear gases, whatever, the pepper sprays the person just standing there in the face, drives away. Yeah, ICE a lot of these guys are assholes.
And they said another New York resident says he was warned by officers after criticizing ICE. So he's actually probably doing social media or some other way of criticizing ICE and all along those lines. I said before, on the 4th, we'll be celebrating the 250th anniversary of the U.S. And NPR reported that the majority of Americans are proud but worry about the direction of the country. So it's saying that 37% said they are very proud of the country, 28% said they're proud, 23% said they're not too proud, and 12% said they're not proud at all. So most Americans think that the U.S. has strayed from its founding principles, and they said American pride has fallen to a 25-year record low. So what is our thoughts around this notion that a lot of people are not exactly pleased with the direction that America is going?
So you compare it to the 200th, the bicentennial, where there was a lot more enthusiasm. We just kicked out a crooked president. We'd ended a 12-year, at least, long war, the Vietnam War. It was Americans. We were optimistic. We were horny. The 70s were the horniest decade. We were going to discos. We were giving each other herpes by the million, but we were having a good time. Now we're relative to then. We're more miserable. We're more divided, and we've got a crook running the country, enriching himself by billions of dollars, and we can't get rid of him, and we can't get him to stop criming all the time. There's this Qatari jet. It's worth between $250 million and $400 million, but the U.S. is spending close to $1 billion, bringing it up to Air Force One standards, and then Trump is going to take it and use it as his personal plane when he leaves office. The more corruption from Trump than from all previous presidents combined. And we can't do anything about it. So yeah, some Americans are pretty bummed out.
The problem with his presidency is that he made a presidency a money-making machine. And this could set up an example for future presidents, especially now there will be probably a much steeper competition to become a president, because with that comes money-making possibilities. And Trump proved that that's possible to do without being responsible for all the wrongdoings.
Well, Trump, though, I mean, when you look at the likely candidates for 2028, none of them are grifters like Trump. Most of them, I mean, yeah, a dark horse could come in, but most of these people are kind of closer to the standard model of politicians who may enrich themselves, like Nancy Pelosi is famous for getting rich while in Congress. She's been there forever. She's married to a venture capitalist. So this is a guy who makes his money investing. She probably gives him tips. And so they've amassed a fortune of hundreds of millions of bucks. But none of the potential presidential candidates are even that corrupt.
No, they're not that corrupt. I'm confused about something. Not something you said, but something that I'm looking at the story about.
Mark, I got to interrupt. We can't say that most of these candidates are not corrupt. J.D. Vance is corrupt. The other ones that are there are corrupt. J.D. Vance is the one that called Trump a Hitler, but then because he got picked, decided that Trump is the greatest thing since sliced bread. Anybody who is on the Trump team is corrupt.
All right, I agree. Hold on.
They're not as rigid and yelly and bombastic as Trump. So
J.D. Vance yesterday was pretty bombastic. He yelled at the Pope. He said the Pope needs to learn that native-born American whites are as important as immigrants, and the Pope needs to take a lesson from him, which is super dickish. But J.D. Vance is not, doesn't have the wherewithal to enrich himself by the billions. Trump has.
But that's the thing. The system is already in place. Project 2025, all those individuals that were a part of it are already there. So JD Vance leaving, or JD Vance becoming the next or running for office, he's already got the institution built. So saying that he's not on the take or not going to be on the take.
No, I'm just saying that they're not as much, that they don't have the wherewithal. Trump has scammed during this current presidency to the tune of maybe $4 billion, largely through crypto. He's set his kids up in multi-million-dollar.
But guess who else is a presidential candidate?
Okay,
his kids. So that's what I'm saying. The system's there. It's already built. They are corrupt, and we cannot run from it. That's what got us into this place got us here in the first place. Sasha said something very profound earlier that we tend to ignore, but it runs true even through this. Sasha was talking about how Trump is normalizing because he is president. He's the one that people voted for. We've normalized this criminal behavior. We've normalized and allowed for it. We're okay with it now. It's not a thing. I don't want to hear anything ever again about Biden. I don't want to hear about Hunter anymore. $4 million if everything is correct. Oh, we accept everything that Hunter Biden did. $4 million. But yet you're not going to say anything about the $1 billion that Trump has just made off of cryptocurrency, plus the other billions of dollars that he's made, plus the billions of dollars that his sons have made, plus the billions of dollars that were given to Kushner and all these other people. Don't want to hear it. What Trump got voted on, or once Trump got voted in, Sasha's right. We've normalized it. It is acceptable now. So we cannot sit there and ignore that what is in office right now, what's going to come behind Trump is going to be corrupt. Coming out of that whole Republican Party, yes, there is corruption in the Democrat Party, but coming out of that institution that's already built and already on the take, where everybody's saying, hey, it's okay, Trump is there. It's okay. We'll vote for anything that he wants to do. Mike Johnson's on the take. I mean, we know Mike Johnson's on the take because anytime Trump meets with him, hey, we'll do whatever. We know Clarence Thomas, if he was actually before the votes that happened yesterday, Clarence Thomas was talking to Mike Johnson and the GOP leadership. Why? The man's on the take. We know he's on the take for an RV. He's out there shopping. So Sasha was spot on, is that right now we've normalized it. And until we get back to the idea that this is wrong, it's going to be the same thing.
I hear what you're saying, Jacoby, but speaking of that, apparently he also has a boogeyman that he loves picking on and everything like that, who's not been in office for 9.5 years and everything like that. Because what he said recently, because he was talking about the reflecting pool, and he was basically trying to say that y'all are talking about me and the amount of money that I spent on the reflecting pool, but then Biden and Obama, who's the person I'm talking about, is his boogeyman and everything. He's trying to say that he spent like much more than he did and trying to reflect and fix the reflecting pool, even though I had never heard anything about the reflecting pool when Obama was in office. And
but the reflecting pool has been a technical problem for 100 years. It was built in the 1920s. It's always leaked. Leaking is part of how it keeps algae out. They have to keep filling it with water. It leaks through the granite floor, but that recycling of water keeps it clean. Trump got in there and did and his hired guy, they did some ignorant bullshit, and it just made the problem explode.
So yeah, we cannot normalize again. What he's trying to do is shuffle the blame and normalize it. He's trying to do exactly what Sasha, and we cannot fall into that. Trump came into office, said that he's gonna spend $14 million or spend $1 million or whatever.
1.8 million.
Yeah, 1.8 million. And he did a no bid contract to his individual to his pool guy who invested money into his campaign. $300,000 this man put into Trump's campaign. But hey, he got a no bid contract, got $14 million. Now he's getting more money because the man didn't know what he was doing in the first place. So we cannot normalize. Obama tried to fix holes, tried to fix leaks. Other people tried to went and fixed leaks. It's a huge area. But no, Trump gets in and says, I'm going to paint it blue. All right. So you arrested more people who picked up the blue chunks that have come off the bottom than you've done with the Epstein files. So please spare me the whole, oh, no, Trump screwed up.
Well,
He's wasting
messing up and everything like that. Just over, just, I love to hear from definitely Nick as well and everything. But
Thank you.
am I not mistaken? Didn't Trump have a problem with the village people? But now, since a village people person has passed away, that being Victor Willis, he's trying to say that he's mourning the village people singer. So he says we will think of Victor every time YMCA is played, is what he said. But I thought
Trump had a problem with
the whole conversation with the village people where they were upset that they were even using that song. But maybe I mistook.
The village people did not want Trump to use his music.
Right.
Trump got mad at the village people for that. That's Trump's song, even though it's talking about accepting everybody, including immigrants, including transgender individuals, because it talks about everybody. That's what the YMCA song is about. It's about acceptance of everybody. But Trump used it for political purposes, and Trump's campaign and Trump himself is against everything that song stands for. They told him not to use it.
It's not just about accepting people. It's about going to the YMCA and hooking up for gay sex. When that song was written in the 70s, the YMCAs were known as, they had the reputation for being gay hookup places. And this was part of the disco era. The disco era was super gay positive. Disco was a creation of gay culture that was appropriated by straight people who wanted to dance and get laid too. And so YMCA is, you go to the YMCA, you hook up with dudes. But Trump is out there doing the jerk off dance, jerking off two guys to a gay anthem.
Well, you know, it's
that's what it is, and everything like that.
definitely not his song and he does that a lot.
He's actually just showing how inclusive he is, and I don't know why you guys have such a problem
So you
with
start playing a song.
that he has.
I
I just don't get it. And this bashing, I don't know how you guys are going to make it on
all right, the deal is that Trump plays your
all the
song.
time. I checked the stock market; it's up nearly 10% the last 6 months. Okay, our immigration problem is basically being solved. So if you look at the issues, he's winning. And so the things, I don't know what the gripe is about. How you guys
the immigration problem.
No, hold on. Nick makes a good point. That there's all this shit. The reflecting pool is a distraction.
The reflecting pool may be fixed by July 4th. And then the thing is,
hold on. So birth tourism, which is the new thing that not new, but they're making a big deal. Stephen Miller
actually the stock market.
Hold on. Let me finish my point. That Stephen Miller, Trump's creepiest guy, is saying that we need to give pregnancy tests to every woman entering the U.S. So I looked up the statistics. Yes, there is birth tourism. People come to the U.S. to give birth. About 2,000 people a year do this, which is one birth in 1,000. Also, when Whitey does it out of Russia, when Russians come, nobody's whiter than Russians.
Can I point out?
Nobody's upset about that. The MAGA's not upset about that. They're upset about China doing it, but it's a tiny number of people. And while we're distracted by that bullshit and reflecting pool, hold on, I'm almost done. They are stealing our Social Security and Medicare.
Can I point out something real quick? Hold on, Nick, I got a question for you. Nick, I got a question for you though. I got a question. You said
why you're dismissing
Nick, I'm coming to you.
People like it's
Nick, I'm coming to you with a quick question.
So why don't you just admit it's a failing policy?
Nick, hold on.
And that he's going to correct it.
Nick, hold on. You said that he's fixed the immigration policy.
He is fixing it.
Hold on. Wait. What bill has he signed to fix the immigration policy?
Well, as we well know, Jacoby, he doesn't operate by bills. He operates.
So in other
by
words, he hasn't fixed anything. So thank you. You've proved my
orders,
point. We're done here.
Executive orders. In
We
other words,
don't have kings.
he's showing
We
you
don't
up
have
to
kings in the
Jacoby.
U.S., so he
He's showing
doesn't. He
you
hasn't
up
fixed
to make an
anything.
issue.
Nick, you telling me that he's
Executive
done some
orders
executive order doesn't do anything? That tells me
You
he's a waste
think
of time
they
that
have
you
to
care
have a
about
bill in
kings. Also,
Congress?
I guess
He's showing
that's
the
whole thing.
power.
But either
of the
way,
president.
Nick, you've already answered the
You know,
question.
he can
The answer is
fire
nothing.
people without
answer is
having
nothing.
it go through Congress.
The answer is nothing. He signed
You
no
know,
bill.
I
So he
mean,
hasn't
so
fixed
you got to look at
what
all,
he's
look at
done.
all the
I can
good
tell
things
you what
he's
he's
done.
done.
By
Nick,
the way, the market is up 9%.
you talk about the market being nothing because we're talking about immigration. So Nick, what I'm hearing
people
is
are
that
very
he
happy
signed
about
no
that.
bill, which means he hasn't fixed a thing.
Executive orders.
What he's done is caused problems because tourism
because
is
he's
down.
enforcing the law. The law's already been there.
Tourism is down 12 to 15%.
Come on.
And if
You
you're
didn't see
talking about the average
attendance
yeah,
at the
individual,
it
World
is.
Cup?
if
Oh
you're
my
talking
God,
about
let
the
me
Did you
average
see
tell
the amount
individual,
of money they're
if
spending?
you're
You
talking
guys are
about the
so far
average
behind.
individual, Nick, the
You know how
average
much
individual,
money they're spending? Like-
Yeah, they're spending huge amounts of money
So,
on tickets.
well,
I mean,
For one,
You're
the
talking
one
about
person.
World Cup has
the
record
World Cup
attendance.
does not
Jacoby. I'm
constitute
sorry.
all tourism across the whole nation.
Jacoby, you're
a year.
incorrect.
It's
All right, so
actually
let me
300
butt in on this because I'm traveling this weekend. And what I noticed yet again, as I've been constantly reporting, is I can easily get a reservation at the drop of a hat. This is supposed to be the busiest week of the year down here where I've been going. And I will tell you, there have been days when my husband and I couldn't even find a parking place at the hotel where we stayed, or it's a family owned place. And there's not even half full here. This week, there's not even half full. And this is the week that is so full. And I got a reservation like that. There are plenty of rooms if you guys want to spend all that money that Nick says is being spent. But let me tell you how they did the math. The GOP did the math this way. We're spending more money this year than we ever have. That's because you're spending more for less. You're paying.
Break off.
Are we frozen?
Yeah,
Maybe we should go to Bangladesh and see how
We're
they
paying
feel
more
about the
for
United
less.
States.
And I just
Let's
want
go to
people to
Bangladesh.
reflect on that's how they do the math. So when they say that you're spending more, also just to let you know, the market slipped today. It opened very low for July 1st, claiming that it's a reflection of the pool basically, but it is slipped considerably today. I don't even want to go look at it, but Wash has completely ignored all questions pertaining to any of this. And if you notice, Congress Senate has decided to take they don't like what I have to say. They have decided to take a week off so that while you're working very hard to wonder how.
She froze again. So,
all right. So the
I'd
data
like to say,
the market's
the
pretty
greatest
level, right?
danger for Trump and his administration is to lose midterm election, both House and the Senate. What's happened if that will happen? Immediate impeachment, 100% impeachment, and possible jail term for not only impeachment projects, but other stuff what he's done. So how to avoid it? So he is now bringing all kind of international tricks to make sure that the market is going higher, the oil is going lower, and all that usual stuff. For that, he is negotiating so-called negotiations with Iran. How you can negotiate when you lost the war? When you lost the war, remember Germany, Japan, when they lost the war, it was out. It was time for announcing that properly, whether through emperor or through whoever was alive at the time in Germany or so on. Trump is alive in the United States, so he has to acknowledge that the war is lost. Why the war is lost? Because on optics, there was a tremendous success of the U.S. War machines, the bombardments of Iranian targets, and so on. But okay, it's all done and gone. All these targets can be resurrected in like months, few weeks time or so. So there is not real damage to it. But Strait of Hormuz, that's Iranian nuclear bomb. And Trump cannot swallow that, so he's begging, I'll give you anything what you want. Just keep open the Strait of Hormuz. So he is sending the delegations after delegations, the Kushner and what's his name, Witkoff and the other so-called, I don't know, are they politicians? They're businessmen. I don't know what they are. See, he's sending them. And you know what Iran says? You come and talk to Pakistani people, you talk to Kuwait people or Qatar people. We are not talking to you. Bye-bye. So
the traffic through
nobody to negotiate with.
Traffic through the strait is down by 90 to 95%. Only 5 to 10% of the normal traffic is making it through the strait right now.
And
by the way, we haven't lost the war. And Canada.
No, you did. No, you did. You are begging for peace. This memorandum says it loud and clear. Please give us peace. Please keep the Strait of
Canada may have lost their economy.
You are begging for that, and you will not get even that.
The GDP growth of this Canadian is 1% to maybe 1.5%. The GDP, the unemployment.
It doesn't matter anymore. No. That's all
7%.
Story. It's all
know who lost.
Story.
It isn't the United
Trump
States.
has to take all his armies out of Middle East. There is nothing for them to do there. It's not U.S. territory. It's not U.S. place to be. Just take them all out. Resign, pay contribution to Iran. Bye-bye. The end of the
we don't have
lost it again. You lost all the wars since Second World War. You lost all wars. You're a loser.
Why Canada is in a
logical loser on the hook for $40 trillion. That's what you are. Everybody loves. Whole world is laughing at you. You're laughing.
Our economy is extremely
for
strong.
Saying that, for having the courage to say that, because nobody in this country can admit that we're being laughed at. And thank you, Sasha, because we need to be told that we are being laughed at, that we have a king with no clothes. I mean, we need to be told that. But I want to tell people, you can believe every word that does not come out of Trump's mouth. Okay. So whatever he says, don't believe it. Just absolutely don't believe anything. But what I do want to do is bring one good note, whether it's good or not, I don't know, but they're celebrating reopening the first bank in Philly today. Huge celebration, commencement for the 4th of July. It's been 50 years, I guess, since the bank closed. It was the first Bank of America. Now it is reopening supposedly with some interesting things. I listened to some of the speeches this morning. It's taken them a long time to reopen it. I don't know what the significance of this will be or why they're doing it, but I guess we'll find out. But we have a lot of other things to watch out for. They're trying to push the 17th Amendment to be done away with. That will mean that we no longer get to vote for our senators. And everyone says, oh, they can't change the Constitution. That's all they've been doing since day one. And then we have to fight to change it back. So what they're doing now is pushing to do away with people electing our officials, and they will appoint them. So this is the GOP way. They are about nothing but putting money back into their pockets. They are still detaining, unnecessarily spending billions of dollars detaining immigrants and being inhumane to them. And these were immigrants who were self-sustainable. All you would have needed to done was just register them and charge them a tax to live here. That would have generated revenue back into our tax debt that we're having. That would have put money back in, not out. Right now, we're putting money out into detainment centers that are owned by all of Trump's friends, very, very wealthy people. They're private detainment centers, and they're getting all the money, all of our tax money.
Hey,
They're going to go
speaking-
fix the reflection pool. Let's re-engineer it. Let's shrink it down and let it just be a small water fountain, and put a rose garden back in to replace the Jackie Kennedy rose garden that Trump just.
Jackie Kennedy.
And what about the Trump's ballroom? Where is it going? Is it still a project or it's dead already?
Well, we should also review some of the Supreme Court decisions. Did you see the atrociousness of it? They actually allowed birthright citizenship. Can you believe that?
Yesterday.
Did you see the Heritage Group? The Heritage Group went crazy over it. It's all over LinkedIn. They want to repeal that. They need a constitutional amendment so we get rid of this.
Yeah, they're
crazy
talking about
birthright
passing
citizenship.
laws to get rid of birthright.
Amazing.
They can't. It's in the Constitution.
Are we
you-
saying
That's what I'm
that the
saying. The
Heritage
Group
Foundation
wants
is
to
upset?
change the Constitution to get rid of birthright
You
citizenship.
can't.
But
It takes
you may
a
also know
vote
the
of
same
38
was passed
states.
by the
You have to
House.
have
Are,
a referendum in 38 states, 3/4 of the states.
I know.
It's an impossibility to change
There's a
the.
possibility. By the way,
And anything's
are we
anything's
surprised that the
possible.
Heritage Foundation is
The Heritage
upset about it?
Foundation thinks the Supreme Court was atrocious
Are we
by
surprised about that?
allowing birthright citizenship.
Are we surprised about that?
Yeah. So,
And
no,
we're
I'm
taking-
just
we're-
telling you what they are. You know,
I mean-
they're going crazy over it. However, the SAVE Act was passed. So, for what that's worth,
No, wait,
I don't
no,
know.
it was
wasn't
passed in the Senate. It wasn't passed.
It
in
wasn't
I think it was
the
passed in the House.
Wait,
The
one of
state
the
act-
houses. Yeah, you're right. It was passed in
Yes,
the House. It
the House.
can't
The
make it
House
through
already
the
did the
Senate.
passing. The House
So-
tried to pass it before. The House
Yeah.
actually passed it. What was it? Twice. And then it went to the Senate. It gets denied in the Senate.
Yeah,
The
because
problem is they
Okay,
can't- they don't
so
have-
we'll see what happens. SAVE
Even
Act.
And what
some
they're trying to do
Republican
now-
senators think it's bullshit.
Yeah, what they're trying to do now is that Mike Johnson is trying to tie it to one of the defense bills. So he's trying to force it through that way. It's one of the defense authorizations that has to go through. So he's trying to tie it to that. Well, that also got rebelled against. So that's why Mike Johnson shut everything down right now. So the House is out of session because Mike Johnson closed the doors. Again, the SAVE Act is trash. It's really trash.
Then why did the House pass it if it's trash?
It's a
You don't
Republican
believe
House, and they're
House
doing
Representatives?
well. Honestly, the House passed it a couple of times, and they're struggling to continue to pass it. On top of that, it's a Republican House, and they're doing anything and everything that Trump wants. That shows you how feckless the House is.
Okay,
and the
but the
Republican
thing is, the Americans elected the House, didn't they? The House of Representatives is elected group.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, but
Okay.
The
Well,
Americans
you know.
don't want that SAVE Act passed.
Well,
so
you know,
again, what
I-
you're saying doesn't make
you know,
any sense. Your
No,
argument.
what
is
I'm saying is the House is an elected group by the American public.
okay,
The
and they're
House
doing what
passes the
they're
SAVE Act.
they're doing what
I
the
don't know what the
They're,
problem
you're not
is.
listening. The American
Yeah.
people do not want
There,
the
there,
SAVE Act
there are
passed.
dissidents.
You're not
out
listening.
there,
You're
I'm
not
sure.
listening. You're not listening.
You know.
You're arguing that the House was elected by the American people. The American people
That's
said
correct.
they don't want the SAVE Act passed. The SAVE Act is not passed. So what is your argument?
But the thing is, they do. You're saying that they
No,
don't.
they
but
don't.
Obviously, they do, or they want
No,
to
they
elect the
don't.
people in the House. I mean, what you're saying makes no sense at all.
So you're
You're
saying
not
that
listening.
But what does make sense,
The American people don't want the SAVE Act
I
passed.
would love to be able to.
You're not listening. You're not listening. You're not listening.
No, I'm just giving
You're not
facts rather than
listening.
listening to rhetoric. Yes, I would agree.
You're not listening. This group
Yeah.
over here got elected by this group. This
Yeah.
group doesn't want the bill passed.
Oh, well.
What did this group do? They
That's
didn't
too
pass the
bad.
bill, and your argument is they've got elected
They're-
by the
they're-
people. They're doing what the people said they
Hey,
didn't
look,
want.
there's always going to be people that have oppositional defiance disorder.
The
I
majority of the
understand,
people don't want it.
you know. But the thing is, then they should have, if they didn't want them, they should have elected different
They
officials.
did not
but that's
want the
what
bill
happened.
passed. That's why it
So-
didn't get passed. The people wanted
well,
the
yeah, it
housing
didn't get
bill.
passed.
Listen,
We'll follow
the
the law.
people wanted the housing
Wait.
bill, but
Yeah.
they didn't get the housing bill because of
We're at the
Trump.
top of the hour. You guys can keep
Top
going.
of the hour, time to leave and everything like that. I was going to tell Sasha that Canada is going to take place in the Eurovision Song Contest, so we can talk about that at a later date because they officially joined that contest. And apparently, a housekeeper was awarded $13 million in a Chris Brown dog attack trial. So that was something else I was going to get to that I didn't get to. But right now, let's get on out of here, and we can talk about these stories on another day at another time. But right now, let's get on out of here, and we'll see what other World Edition we have on July 2nd. But we have other programming coming up here, including a show about Medicare, and that'll be coming up at noon, as well as other shows coming up during the course of the day as well, including Sasha's Modern Investment. But right now, let's get on out of here.